What if I told you that you could do one thing right now that would change your whole situation? Would you do it? Let me tell you a story real quick. I was reading a book not long ago, and it was called Former Pharisee by Jeff Hilliard. And he told a story in this book that changed my perspective on something. And I'm going to paraphrase this story for the sake of time. I'm probably going to get some of the details wrong, but you can go read his book and check that out if you want all of the full story. So basically the story goes like this. He is traveling to Kenya, and he has a dream one night. And in this dream, he's scaling a mountain in San Francisco. And once he gets up the mountain, he sees these demons in the air, and they're reading off of a scroll, and they're reading things like poverty and homosexuality and all of these different things. And when they get to the end of the scroll, they start back over. And he said he saw these words coming from their mouths, and they would go down into the city and plant roots and start growing. So in the dream, he goes down into the city, and God gives him a scroll with different words on it and tells him to read it. And so he starts reading things like life, unity, sonship, prosperity. And he said that as the words would come out of his mouth, they would uproot the evil words and take them up in the sky to the demons, who would then flee. So he's in Kenya, and he tells these villagers, these village women, about his dream. And those villagers decided that they were going to act on that dream. There were 3 things that their village had been struggling with: witchcraft, alcoholism, and Islam. So he has to leave Kenya, and he comes back a little while later. And these women had gone through the streets of their village speaking life over those situations. And I think it said like within 1 month, the witch doctor was no longer, all of the bars in town had been shut down, and the Islamic temples were abandoned. Again, I'm sorry if I botched any details, but that's the gist of the story. So it got me thinking, if these are real people who really put into practice the biblical principle of speaking life over your situation, and they saw drastic changes, what could we do with our words? And sometimes it's so difficult because it sounds too good to be true. It sounds too simple to work. But that's where you have to ask yourself the question, do you really believe what the Bible says is true? Because if so, act on it. A lot of times we're taught to speak about what we see, to just call it like it is, right? But I want to challenge you not to speak to what you see, but to speak to what you want to see, and keep speaking it until it happens. I love how Kelly Kay puts it. He says that God asked him one time, if everything you said came true, would it change the way you speak? And he said, well, of course it would. And he said, then change the way you speak. We know that the Bible says that the power of life and death are in the tongue. That means your words have power. And if we believe the Bible to be true, then why would we not act on that? Why would we not implement that into our situations and start speaking into what we want to see? I challenge you to do this for the next 7 days. Pick something in your life that you want to see change and speak it as often as you can. Just humor me and see if it makes a difference. God's taught me a lot of things like this over the past 4 years. Things that I thought I understood that He really just illuminated to me in a new way. And of course, I've been sharing all of that on TikTok, but He also asked me to write it down. So I wrote a book called 7 Days to a Life of Limitless. This is all of the perspective shifts and wisdom and insight that God downloaded to me through that time. Like I said, you can go through all my TikTok videos and watch all of that. But if you want it organized and in one place, this may be a good solution for you. I have copies of it available on TikTok Shop, on my website, or on Amazon. This is a great tool if you're really wanting to deepen your relationship with God and have understanding for a lot of the things that can be confusing. Now, because you've watched this video, I don't want another negative word to come out of your mouth today. Okay? We're speaking life into our situations. Deal?